Hey everybody, Brendan here, and welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be covering my third ever tournament game, and I am heavily mismatched in this one, but I do now have an established rating after my last game. So let's get into it. So my opponent played d4, I played d5, they played knight f3, and I played knight c6. So knight c6 I'm not a big fan of. This is fine. My idea was that I'm putting pressure on their d4 pawn, they're defending it, so I thought it was like a reversed Ruy Lopez or like some sort of weird thing like that. Of course, that's not really the case because their queen's also defending it. Instead, a move like knight f6 is a little bit better. We'll see why in a moment. So knight c6, bishop f4, and bishop f5, which is fine. So bishop f4, one of the best ways to play against it is by playing this move c5. Essentially going into like a reverse queen's gambit almost. However, the biggest issue for me is that I can't play c5 because my knight's there. So that's just one thing to keep in mind, is sometimes you want to play a move like c5, and in d4 d5 openings that's generally the case. You want to break with c5, but here I can't, so that's just one thing to keep in mind. So c3, e6, h3, and bishop to d6 now. Knight e5, and I took it and played bishop c5, and I'm quite happy with my position here, mainly because they do have a doubled pawn. This e5 pawn is quite advanced, however, it feels like it could potentially become weak after some sort of like knight e7, even knight g6, getting the bishop to c7, as we'll actually see in the game. So knight d2, knight e7, knight b3, bishop to b6, e3, knight g6, bishop g3. I thought maybe bishop h2 was a little stronger with the threat of g4, but actually with further analysis, I saw that it somehow doesn't work, and it's very shocking how. So after, let's just say castles here, g4, and then bishop to e4 is played, f3, queen h4 check, king e2, and queen g5, exclam, I'd say. This is just an incredible move. And the whole point is you don't really care if this is taken because, well, unfortunately, that's checkmate, so they can't really take it. And if they can't, then wow, their position's quite bad with their king on e2 like that. So even if you were to somehow lose the piece, and you're not in the first place, I would like to mention, then you're doing quite well. So instead, bishop g3 was played. I do think practically this looks like it could be something, but that wasn't played. So bishop g3. Castles, knight d4, c6, bishop e2, and bishop c7. So my idea here with c6 was, of course, just to attack the e5 pawn. This provokes f4, and now I can move my bishop to e4. So it's no longer on threat of being captured, and it's on this nice like little outpost almost. So they castle. I play c5. They play knight f3, and then I play h6. Bishop to d3 was played. I take it, queen takes, and then bishop to b6. So I'm just putting it back on the diagonal. I'm wasting a little bit of time, as you can see, but again, I am 1300 at this point, so of course there's going to be time wasted here and there. So rook a to d1, knight to e7, bishop h4, and queen d7. So the idea here was I'm hoping that, well, I can just remaneuver the knight, I'm assuming, to c6. Was my plan, and also I guess just c6. I don't see another useful square, maybe back to f5, but then why did I play knight e7? So c4, and then oh sorry, no, the knight was on g6, and now it's gonna reroute to f5. My apologies. So now knight f5, bishop to f2, rook a to d8, e4, knight e7, e takes, and here they played bishop h4. And this gives me the opportunity to now play d4, which I was quite happy about. Now they do have the move f5 though, and that is a little tricky. And it's kind of like really scary, but luckily I can sacrifice an exchange here with knight takes f5, but that's not something that's easy to do. You don't necessarily know if it's sacrificing an exchange or if you're just losing one. In this case, it is actually luckily sacrificing one, where after, for example, knight e1 is suggested by the computer, we can play g6, and then I'm assuming one maneuver we can make is get it to e3 via queen e6, because we have to watch out. For example, if you want to play knight e3 right now, looks like you're winning an exchange back, but white to move and win. Okay, good. I believe you got it. You guys are smart. So queen takes e3, unfortunately, loses the game for black, where after pawn takes, the queen on d7 is hanging. Again, watch out for alignment, right? It doesn't feel like there's any alignment in this position, but as you can see, when pieces are facing each other, sometimes pins occur, and that's exactly what happened here, especially because my queen is undefended. If it was defended, that would actually be fine. We would win an exchange back there still. So anyways, after d4, knight d2 was played instead. I played bishop to c7. So the whole point to guess behind this was if f5, then I can take on e5. They played knight e4 though. And now things are getting difficult. Because after knight e4, they have a lot of pieces near my king. And it's quite easy to just go rook f3, rook g3, and then I just get checkmated here. So it's quite scary. But here, I played b6 to defend my pawn. They played rook f3, just going for my king. I played queen e6 to prevent like any more f5 stuff where I can take it now like that. And also maybe I can move my rook up and then move my knight to f5. And here they do actually have a knockout blow with knight f6 check, where after g takes, they just have bishop takes. They can play really slow here, and the whole point is like rook g3 is coming, and then it's just mate. It's literally just mate. Like what can I do? For example, let's just play like a random move, rook d7, rook g3 check is mate in 3. Where after knight g6, then rook takes g6, pawn takes, queen takes, rook g7. And then takes on g7 here. So super easy to get mated. Knight f6 check just wins the game here, actually. So after b3, which is what they played instead, I should play king h8. I played rook d7 instead, which kind of just renews their ability to play knight f6. However, my rook's now on d7, which could arguably be slightly more useful. But that shouldn't matter anyways. But they actually took on e7 instead, which gives away part of their advantage, because one of their biggest things was bishop takes f6 after, because they would just want a piece on f6, which will just mate me essentially at the end of the day. Queen takes e7, rook to g3, and of course we have to find a only move here essentially. There's only one realistic move. Any other move is just bad, in my opinion. King h8, because there's a threat of knight f6 in this position. For example, if we play rook d8, knight f6 check, we'll just win the game on the spot with a mate on h7 here. Or of course, if we take here with the queen, well, you know, that's not good. But of course, again, watch out for alignment, right? That keeps popping up in all these games. So king h8 was played. Rook takes g7 though. And surprisingly, it's fine for white. After king takes g7, if they play queen g3 check here, they're actually okay. King h8, and then knight to f6. And the argument here is that essentially it's like, what do I do? I have to play a move like rook d6 right now. And the reason why I have to play a move like rook d6, let's just say if I play rook d8 here, they have queen h4. This just wins the game on the spot, because now the only option for me to not get mated is queen takes f6, and well, I'm just giving away my queen for nothing here. Like rook d6, now the idea is if queen h4, for example, I can now take on f6. Yay me. And I defend against this threat just in time. So if queen takes f6, that's pretty obvious. But what if takes here, right? That's something we have to look at. But luckily we have queen e3 check, where after the king moves somewhere, we can take on f4, attack the queen, threaten a trade, and also defend our h6 pawn, so defend against all the mates. Pretty crazy stuff. But they played knight f6 instead here, and now I have a defense. So as we can see, with queen and g3, the whole point is they try to cut me off to this side of the board. Try to make the game all about the g and h file. However, here, after knight f6, it lets me get to this side of the board. It's kind of weird. You normally think of it in halves, like this half of the board or this half, right, on this side of the board. However, In this case, it's all about the G and H file. And after rook h8, I'm okay, because now I can play king f8, and I can get away from that side of the board. And now black has a winning position. They're just up a rook, and there's some compensation, but it should wither away over time. So queen f5 was played, and I played rook d to d8, of course, defending my rook here. Rook to d3, bringing the last piece into the attack, but it's just too late. After king f8, rook to g3, I just played d3. d3 is just enough to win. And the reason why is because, well, how does white continue? Do they trade off another piece from their attack, and now it's just they're still down a rook, but it's even more reduced material? Or do they do something else? It's not actually that obvious. So they played queen h7 instead, and it's because they thought they were winning here, and they missed my move. So can you guys find the move that I played in this game? This is your final tactic for the game. So the move that I played here was queen takes f6. And the whole point is, they cannot take my rook in this position because it is now defended. And I am threatening to take their queen if they capture back. So what do? They played rook g8 check. And the whole point is, after rook takes g8, they can now take my queen. Unfortunately, this was calculated, and I did see that d2 was possible here. And unfortunately, after d2, I'm just making a new queen, and I'm well, it's two rooks versus the queen, but then I have an extra piece, and then I'm also promoting. So it's like, when I get my queen back, it'll be a queen versus queen, but I also have two extra rooks and a bishop, which is quite winning. And that's why after queen takes h6, king e8, king h2, I queen to h4, and then queen to d2, my opponent resigned, as there's just no way to stop all the threats. There's just threats of queen takes f4, there's bishop takes f4, queen takes g2, rook takes g2. All of these things will win the game. So anyways, that is game number 3. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and well, I will see you guys Friday with a new opening video. Thank you for watching, and have a great day. Bye bye.